Hi everybody, welcome to yet another video. This one's the Anest Iwata Kiwami 4 1.3 tip with the BA4J cap. Just a quick thank you to all the subscribers, etc. The way YouTube works, the more subscribers you get, the more views you get, the higher up the channel of people. When people search something, the higher up you come, so the more people watch the videos basically, which is always good in my book. The more people that see them, the better really. So back to the Kiwami 4. So this is supposedly an upgrade or a newer version of the W400, the Bellaria, the Iwata Bellaria. And I can see, I did an unboxing video of it, and if you want to see that, I'll try and remember to put a link in the description, and it goes through more of the changes that they've made. So this is more about the spraying experience, but I can honestly say that all the changes they've made have been really good. There's nothing that sometimes, like the ANI R150, R160, when they changed that, there was quite a lot. There's stuff about the R160 you like compared to the R150, but there's also quite a lot you didn't. So you'd prefer some of one and some of the other, and that's not the case with this. With this, every upgrade they've done really well, I think. They've changed the pitch on the cap, which is neither here nor there. I mean, they say that the reason for changing the pitch on the cap is to make it faster to service, and it takes about a second less, I suppose, to unscrew this cap than it does the Bellaria cap, which makes no difference. Even if you're doing it 10 times a day, then it's 10 seconds, isn't it? I'm sure people can't be that busy that 10 seconds matter that much. So I think sometimes when these manufacturers do these things, it's just to make the old components not fit and work, so that it encourages you to buy new, whether it's new components or whether it's new gun, etc. So I would take that with a pinch of salt, but otherwise they haven't changed it. And why fix something that isn't broken? Because the Bellaria is a really good gun. The W400 in general is a really good gun. There's plenty of tips and caps, etc. available for that. A lot of them second hand on internet auction sites you can get, and it just makes it much in my book much more universal, because you can buy loads of things for it, not necessarily expensive, and they all fit each other, so they work really well. So you can use it for primer, base, clear, 2K direct gloss, stuff like that, whatever you want really. You can get all the different bits and bobs relatively cheap for it, because it's been out for a while. So when they upgraded it with like this, I was a little bit skeptical, but everything has been great. The only thing I would say, why did they have to do that, and maybe a bit of me understands why, because it means it's the same as the rest of the gun, is the pot, the way the pot sits on top. The old one used to have a male thread. This one's got a female thread, and the thread is different. So this takes the same as the LS400, the WS400, Iwatas. It takes the same as the Air Guns, which is now owned by Iwata. The AZ3, the AZ4 takes the same as that, and the W300 as well. They all take the same pot. So I can see a way to move to that, in that you only need one pot to do quite a lot of different guns. But obviously if you've got a 400 Bellaria or a W400, you're going to need a pot. Now I paid 170 GB pounds for this, which is about 250 US, which is a good price, but it didn't come with a pot. If you want a pot, they're anywhere between 30 and 60 quid. So it puts it up there with the W400, which I suppose you wouldn't expect a new gun to be cheaper than the old one. If you've got, as I say, if you've got the old pots, it just means that you need to buy a pot anyway. But say la vie, it's the way it is sometimes. Very good gun though. You'll see I did the underneath on this, and the underneath was a direct, it's not a direct gloss, it's a direct matte. I've got black direct matte, satin and gloss, and to be fair, between the matte and the satin there's not a load of difference. And this is a tank, I may have mentioned it in the other video, but this is one of my tanks that I had for a project I was going to do, which often with me, you sort of like think you'll do this and you don't actually get round to it. Probably because I enjoy the painting more than anything else, I guess. But I was going to get round to doing a project with it, and I didn't, or haven't done. And somebody wanted the tank, but they wanted it black, and the proviso was spray it black, matte black on the inside and as glossy as you like on the outside. So that's what I've done. So what you saw me using earlier was actually a direct matte. So although it looks glossy, it actually comes out matte. In the final photo you will see on the inside where it looks matte. You can maybe even see there where it's matted off because it's dry underneath. But yeah, that was the idea of it. So the proviso, as I say, for the top is to make it as flat as you like, which with this gun was easy, to be honest. It performs just as well. Let me just take a drink. It performs just as well as the W400. It's not better. It doesn't perform better in my book. It's exactly the same. But the 400 is a really good gun. So I would be gobsmacked if it did perform better, particularly at its price point. Although why I said that, I don't know. I suppose it's because it's not an expensive gun. But if it was an expensive gun, you wouldn't be thinking it was overpriced, because it performs really well. As I say, I've used it for clear coat since doing this video. Obviously I'm narrating it afterwards. I've used it for clear coat and it performs just as well. The WS400, or the Bellaria as we'll call it, performs brilliantly on clear coat, and this performs just as well. So if you're looking to upgrade because it's a better gun, I wouldn't bother. But if you're thinking of a W400 and maybe this is turning your eye, it's definitely worth getting over the 400, just for the various parts that they've changed, particularly in the hand. The way it feels in the hand, it feels so much better. It feels like your hand's part of this. It feels like your hand's in it, whereas on the Bellaria it feels like your hand's on it, if that makes sense. When you wrap your hand around it, it feels like your hand's on a spray gun. With this, it feels like your hand's inside the spray gun. They've made the hand a little bit longer apparently, and they've made the nose a bit shorter, which, you know, I mean, I can't say, yeah, I noticed the nose was 5mm shorter, because I didn't. But it did feel better to use, so maybe that is it. Maybe it's the handle's a bit longer, the nose is a bit shorter, just makes it easier to use. I don't know, but it's definitely feels nice to use compared to the old one. As I say, I wouldn't change it if you're looking to change it for a better gun. I would think maybe about something else to give you something a bit different in your arsenal. But if you're thinking of a W400 and you've seen this, then yeah, by all means choose this over the W400. I've got W400s, and I won't be parting with them, but if I had the choice now of getting some of these, one or two of these, then I would choose this any day, because it's, as I say, you get all the benefits of the 400 with new benefits brought on by this model. One of the things particularly comes to mind is the spring at the back, where you know, the spring you take out when you control the fluid. You take the spring out, pull your needle out to clean it, etc. They've put like a little plastic shroud on the back of the spring, and it just makes it easier to get that knob back on after you finish cleaning, because, you know, sometimes you can push, because you're pushing against the force of the spring, and you can sometimes get the thread slightly crossed. You have to come back again. None of that's good, really. You don't want to, because eventually the threads will go. I mean, I'm not using it enough to do that probably, but you can see that happening. Whereas with that little addition, it just makes it so much easier to get the thing on. And no, otherwise it's just a feel really that just makes it feel much better. You can't really say that it's an upgrade. It's more of a sideways movement really, I would say. The fact that it's got ergonomically better is more of a sideways movement, I suppose, rather than anything else. It's not a performance leap, but as I said before, you wouldn't expect a performance leap really, at that price point, because although it's not a cheap gun, it's not an expensive gun either, at that price point you'd expect a good competent gun, and that's exactly what you get. You get a really good competent gun, very reliable. It's going to, you know, last longer than me, I would think, as long as you look after it. So highly recommended. You'll see me, just quickly, I wanted to say that you'll see me, this tank's on some wooden blocks. If you're doing stuff like this and you're in my sort of environment, i.e. not in a proper booth or anything, and you do things like put it on plastic blocks, or in this case wooden blocks, do make sure they're clean. I mean, I hoover mine. It may sound excessive, but I hoover mine and I rub them down with a wet cloth to make sure any dust or anything's off them, because you'll see just there, when you come down to that sort of area, you pull the trigger of the spray gun, if any rubbish is on that block, it's going to go over your work, and it's hard enough to keep it clean as it is. But yeah, it seems to work okay for me. But just be careful what you're doing really. It's far more easier to do it right in the first place than it is to sort it out afterwards. It's not impossible, it's just harder. So thumbs up to the gun. I like my GTI Pro Lite as a good all-round gun. The W400 is probably a better all-round gun, and by better I mean the fact that you can get like a 1.8 tip for it, you can get a 2mm tip for it, I think you can get a 2.5mm tip for it. So sorry, if you're looking for a gun that would do everything, and you can find some cheap tips and etc., cheap caps, then go for it. It's a brilliant gun. But this one is it's a brilliant upgrade. It's the first tool or anything, as I say, that I've upgraded to, or they call it an upgrade, but it's been, everything about the changes have been good. I can't think of anything negative to say about the changes, which is unusual, because I'm a bit of a stick in the mud, you know. I like things to remain the same. If something works, why do you change it? Simple as that, really. You know, it's worked for years, suddenly you change it and it doesn't work as well, in my opinion. But absolutely nothing about this at all. Thoroughly recommended gun. If they'd kept the pop same, we'd have probably been okay. But I do understand why they've changed to the other system, because it means that the other guns all fit each other. So really good gun. You can see the finish it's given here. It's absolutely flat as it can be. Lovely finish, and the guy wanted it as glossy as possible. I haven't used it for clear coat on this video. I've used an F160, which will be coming along in a separate video, just because it will give me a good chance to see that thing fly, because the F160 absolutely pumps it out. I'm quite amazed by it for such a cheap gun. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye bye.